welcome back. So for today's video I thought we would do a reading some of my October TBR because I've currently only read one out of the six that I've currently got on my autumn TBR, and it is only the 11th of October, so we do have time, and I thought why not, let's film a video, we can talk about them and yeah, sort of go through my thoughts and opinions. So the ones we have left are Starling House, Immortal Dark, A Darker Shade of Magic, The Secret History and A Study in Drowning. And I have actually started the first one, which is A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. I'm actually buddy reading this with a friend of mine called Alex, and yeah, I literally have read a chapter, so far I don't really have any thoughts or opinions because I have no idea. I don't even really know what this is about. I'm going to quickly read the synopsis on the back just to give you a bit more info about this book. Effie has always believed in fairy tales. She's had no choice. Since childhood she's been haunted by visions of the Fairy King. She's found solace only in the pages of Ang Haggard, I think that is, Emery's beloved epic about a mortal girl who falls in love with the Fairy King and then destroys him. Effie's tattered copy is all that keeps her afloat through her stifling first term at her prestigious architecture college. So when the late author's family announces a contest to design his house, Effie feels certain this is her destiny. But Hiereth Manor is an impossible task, a musty, decrepit estate on the brink of crumbling into a hungry sea, and when Effie arrives she finds she isn't the only one who's made a temporary home there. Preston Hellery, dodgy young literature student, is studying Myriad's papers and is determined to prove her favourite author is a fraud. As the two rival students investigate the reclusive author's legacy, they discover that the house's foundations isn't the only thing that can't be trusted. There are dark forces, both mortal and magical, conspiring against them, and the truth may bring them both to ruin. So that is kind of the premise of the book. It sounds really interesting. Apparently it's very folklore. I think that's the right word. So I'm really excited to read this. I feel like I've heard good things across the board, I think, so hopefully this is one I will enjoy, but as I said, I've literally only read one chapter, so I don't have much insight just yet. But yeah, I thought we'll read this together. I don't know what other book we'll pick from my October TBR for this video. I feel like I'm going to read this and then see where I feel, because I do like to mood read, and I feel like picking it before I finish this, I could change my mind by the time it comes to reading the next one. So this is the one we are starting with, and I will keep you updated on my thoughts and opinions as I go. Hello everyone, so I thought I would quickly do an update because I think about 60% into A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. I'm on page 245 and I think there's like 370 or 80 odd, so I feel like I'm maybe 60 to 70% through. I'm kind of aiming to get about 70% through this tonight if I can. Obviously I'll need to check in Goodreads when I put the page number in what percentage I am, but I'm obviously over halfway, so I thought I would quickly check in and let you know my current thoughts and opinions in the best way I can, because I'm currently a little bit conflicted. I don't really know how to articulate how I feel about this book. It's very interesting. It's not like anything I've read before, which is keeping me intrigued, and when I am reading it I am having a good time and I am wanting to know what's going to happen, but I'm also like, you know when you just want to pick up your phone, even though there's nothing going on my phone, I'm like, oh, scrolling through TikTok when I'm very aware I should be reading this. I am enjoying it when I'm reading it. I don't know, it's just not gripped me yet. And I have a few theories on what I think is going to happen, and I have a feeling they could be right, and if they are, then I feel like it's it's quite obvious what the plot is and like the potential twists, but I don't know if I'm right. So I could be wrong, and if it isn't what I'm thinking, I've got like 3 theories in my head, but they're all kind of linked. And if it's not that theory, then I will be surprised. But currently, it's a fun time. It's really well written. I'm really enjoying the writing style. I've never read one of Ava Reid's books before, so it's really been fun to read some of her work and see how she writes. And it is a really interesting story. I've got to the part where obviously she's gone off to do she's been accepted into the competition. Well, no, not accepted, sorry. She's won the competition, and now she's at the basically manor where she is trying to draw up the blueprints, and there's also the literature student there trying to like figure out what happened, not to his death, but like figure out the backstory to the author that she obviously loves and find out more about him, because he wants to basically write like a memoir on him. But they're kind of now like working together to a degree, and it's been really interesting, and I am intrigued to find out obviously what is going to happen. It's definitely very folk. Is it folk? I always get to say it wrong. Folk. Is it folklore or folklore? I don't know which term is best, but I get what people say it's like folklore. And yeah, I'm intrigued to find out how it'll all come together at the end and what is going on, because as I said, there's a few different like avenues I feel like we could go down, so I'm intrigued to see what will happen. But as of currently, I'm not like obsessed with it, but I'm not enjoying it. I'm at like a 3-star middle ground. I feel like maybe a 3.5 if it continues the way it is and it does like have a few twists. I think if I have already guessed what's going to happen, then it probably would be a 3. But I think it has the potential to get a 3.5. I'm not feeling 4-star just yet, but that could change. Who knows? But it is still fun. As I said, it's something different. I am enjoying it. I'm enjoying the writing style. And yeah, I feel like it is a good read. It's interesting, and I'm liking that it's like October when I'm reading this, because it's definitely giving like October kind of spooky vibes. So yeah, all in all, I am having a good time. I wouldn't say it's like one of my favourite reads ever, but it's still fun. There's still things are happening. I'm still like excited to find out what happens. But yeah, that is my current thoughts and opinions and feelings, sorry. So I will probably let you know maybe when I'm a little bit further, or when I finish the book, my final kind of thoughts. But yeah, for now, I am enjoying this. So I thought I would do an update because I have actually now finished A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid, and I thought we'd quickly go over my thoughts and opinions. So I did rate this book a 3 stars. It wasn't a 3.5, which I did think when I last checked in about 70% it could be, but the ending for me felt quite predictable. I feel like, I think I said, but I had a few different theories, and the main one that I had basically didn't completely come through, but majority of it came through. So there wasn't really much shock factor for me, like there wasn't anything that really threw me off or I didn't see coming, which yeah, kind of annoyed me a little bit. I really wish I had a bit of more of a I can't believe it, or oh, I didn't see this coming, but unfortunately I kind of did. And the pacing as well, I feel like it was well paced, but it was just slow. Like things were happening, but we probably could have cut about 50 pages, maybe like, I don't want to say 100, first a bit harsh, but maybe like 50 to 70 pages could have been cut, and we could have progressed it a little bit quicker. Everything kind of happened in the last 80%, I would say, which obviously is a common theme with fantasy, and usually I love that, but I love it when I'm shocked or thrown or something happens that I wasn't expecting, and because I was expecting everything that kind of happened, minus like 1 or 2 details, but even they didn't throw me. I was kind of like, oh, okay, makes sense. Like it didn't hit me, which is kind of upsetting. But I will say, it's unlike anything I've ever read. I love Ava Reid's writing style, so I definitely will probably pick up something else by her. I think maybe this one just didn't quite hit for me, which is completely fine. It happens. It was still a fun read, and it was still like a good time. I wasn't hating every second of it by any means at all, but unfortunately it just wasn't for me. And I will say the character development, I would not market this as an enemies to lovers, and I also felt like the relationship between the female main character and the male main character felt slightly undeveloped and not fully fleshed. I feel like we could have had more. I feel like their connection could have been built upon a little bit more. And the character development for Effie, our main female character, literally the last chapter I was like, oh my god, I love her. Like, I liked her the whole time, but like she kind of did a 180 with her personality to a degree, and just the way she handles certain things in the very last chapter. And I wish we'd seen that a bit more throughout the book, because she's sort of, I'm not going to go into details and ruin anything, but she's sort of one way the whole of the book, and then the minute she decides to, you know, to change and make these positive changes and kind of stand up for herself, it's in the last chapter. And I was like, I wish we'd got more of her development and her growth throughout the whole book, because I feel like that would have been a lot more impactful, whereas because it was in the last chapter, it was kind of like, oh, I love this, I wish we had more of this, but now it's done. So yeah, that kind of was one thing. Also, please ignore the fact I'm in Christmas pyjamas. I just realised I haven't actually spoken about it, but yeah, these are really comfy pyjamas, so I'm wearing them even though it's October. So now that we've finished A Study in Drowning, that is 2 books off of my October TBR, which is very nice to know. And I have actually picked the next book from the TBR, and that is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I'm so nervous going to this. I believe this is a modern classic, I believe. And it's very, very highly loved. So I have very high expectations for this. I love dark academia. It's probably one of my favourite genres, and I feel like I'm going to love this. One thing I will say is the pages are, I don't know, you're probably not going to be able to tell. I don't think it's even focusing on it, but the pages are paper thin, like Bible thin. So yeah, I've never really read a book like this, but also they're very soft. So I will say I'm liking that, and it's a very floppy book. I also want to say I did not realise this was 600 pages long. I get why it doesn't look that way, because the pages are so incredibly thin. Because I was looking at it and I thought this was probably about 300, no, maybe like 400, 450. But yeah, it's 600 pages long, and there are only 8 chapters. So the chapters are extremely long, which I wasn't aware of. So I have actually, I don't know what my Kindle is, but I have downloaded it on my Kindle as well, because I know I hate stopping mid-chapter, but there's no way I'll be able to, that's not going to happen with this book. So I've also downloaded it on my Kindle, because I feel like it's easier to pick up mid-chapter when you're reading on your Kindle. Don't ask me why. It's just something I've come to decide, apparently. But yeah, that is the next book we're going to read. I'm so excited for this one. Again, I have high expectations, but I'm trying not to get them too high, because obviously I don't want that to impact my experience. But I am so excited for this one. I feel like it's going to be a good read, and it's been on my TBR for like, my TBR cart for probably nearing on a year, if not a year. So I feel like it's time. I wanted to read If We Were Villains. I haven't got around to that one yet, but this one and If We Were Villains are high on my priority for like the end of this year. So at least getting one of them off would be good. I also plan to annotate this, I think. Obviously it will depend on when I read it, if I feel that same desire, but I feel like I would like to. Although, as I said, the pages are so thin, I think it'll be an underline, not a highlight job, because I have a feeling if I was to highlight these pages, it would go completely through. Because honestly, the difference to the page thickness with The Study in Drowning in this book, like The Secret History, it literally feels like paper, like water. I can't even explain how thin the pages are. But I mean, it makes sense, because you would not think that they're that different in length. However, A Study in Drowning is 390 pages, I think, and this one is obviously pretty much double, well, just under double. So all of that to say, that is the bit we're going to be reading next. I'm really, really excited for this one, and I will probably check in maybe once I'm a little bit in and let you know my thoughts and opinions. So I thought we'd do a quick check-in because I am now, whoa, I need to drop my Kindle, 64% into The Secret History, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I feel like this is such an interesting book and I'm just obsessed, to be honest. The chapters are extremely long. I don't know if I've said that, but there are only 8 chapters in this book, and this book is 620 pages long, I'm pretty sure. So you can imagine there are like 150, 200 page chapters. I'm currently on I'm halfway through chapter 6. It says on my Kindle I have half an hour left to finish the chapter, and then I'm on to the last one, which is crazy. I've been reading this book for 3 days. So I feel like that in itself explains my current love for it and how much I'm enjoying it. So I don't know if I actually explained the premise of the book, but you follow 6 students and you're in the point of view of Richard the whole book, and it basically is the story of how they ended up murdering one of the students called Bunny that was studying with them. So it's really interesting. That's not a spoiler, it actually says it in the prologue that like this is what the book is about and like how they kind of got there. And yeah, it is really interesting. I've just realised, sorry, so at the part where Bunny has been killed, but I just accidentally reread part of the prologue, and it says here, the snow in the mountains was melting and Bunny had been dead for several weeks before we came to understand the gravity of our situation. He'd been dead for 10 days before they found him. And I'm currently at the bit where they haven't yet found him. So I'm like, oh, okay. By day 10 they will find him. But that's in the prologue. No spoiler. But anyway, I'm really enjoying it, and there's a lot of character analysis, I want to say. It is a slow starting book, but it's so intriguing. It gripped me from the start, if I'm honest. And there's obviously 5 characters minus the person's point of view you're in, and you get an in-depth, like, you get an in-depth story into each person, who they are, their relationship with him, how they treat him, and it's just really interesting. And I think I've said that quite a few times, but it is a very interesting book. I've not read anything really like it, but dark academia is one of my favourite genres, and this is like perfection to me. It's not a fantasy, but it's just pure dark academia, and I'm having such a good time with it. I thought I may struggle because I think this is a modern classic, so I was a bit worried, thinking, am I going to understand everything? Is my brain good enough to keep up? But I will say it's been really fun to read, and it hasn't been hard to digest at all. It's really interesting because they're studying Greek, and just the way they all work and learning about each individual character and their relationship, and how Richard, our main character whose point of view you're in, how he kind of changes. Like, you can see his progression and his development throughout the book alongside everyone else's, but more so his, obviously, because you're obviously in his point of view. I feel like you can feel it more. And also I feel like he's from a very different background to the other 5 students. He's grown up and he's on financial aid, and the other 5 are pretty much, from the point you meet them, you get the impression that they're all very wealthy, they've had very different lives to him, and it's interesting to see how they treat each other and how they treat him based on that, and how their relationship evolves. But anyway, I have 30 minutes left till I hit chapter 7, and then this is how much we have left. Which is obviously the last chapter. Oh wait, actually, is there a chapter 8 in here? Oh no, I'm mistaken. Chapter 8 is the last one. So there are 2 more chapters after I finish chapter 6 that I'm currently nearly, I think I'm like just over half, no, I think I'm like 3/4 through with. So we're pretty much nearly there. However, it's now currently Friday, and I am planning to start a 24-hour readathon this evening. So I am going to put this down once I finish chapter 6 and spend the evening, well, this evening, spend the weekend doing a 24-hour readathon. I think the video will be up by now, so you might have seen it. But yeah, unfortunately I don't want to read this book whilst filming that, because obviously I've been talking about it in this video and I don't want them to coincide, and I'd like to keep them all in one, as much as it pains me, because I really do want to finish this book, and I would love nothing more than to just binge it and finish it this evening. But I will be starting the video for that later this evening, so it doesn't make any difference to you, because I will just be jumping back in when I pick this back up, and it will be like no time's passed, but I will be putting it on pause. So based on what happens at the end of chapter 6, I don't know if that I'm gonna severely regret it, or it will end at a point where I'm like, okay, I'm happy to pause. So we will see, but currently so far really loving it. is finally time to give my review on The Secret History by Donna Tartt, because I finished this book yesterday evening actually. Obviously I paused it to do my 24-hour readathon, but I did finally finish this book yesterday, and I absolutely loved this. I feel like that's been very obvious throughout my reading journey with it. I've had the best time. I did read primarily most of this on my Kindle because I think I said, but like the font is very, very small, and yeah, it's just so much easier on my Kindle. But I love the book, and okay, it really doesn't look that floppy, but I swear it is. It's a very like easy to read book. But this is definitely one of my favourite dark academias I've ever read. I feel like the plot was so interesting. Obviously, as I said, you know that they've killed one of their like fellow students, that like one of their friends basically, from the very start of the book, and you realise like how that comes around, how that affects each of the characters, and it's just so interesting. And I did not expect what happened at the end to happen. I was completely thrown. Obviously not going to say anything, but it was just so fun. And I think I said, but I was worried I wouldn't maybe grasp a lot of it. And I will say there were some parts when they were talking about Greek that went straight over my head because I have no knowledge in that and I have no background in that, but I still had the best time. So as for ratings, this was a 4.25. It wasn't quite a 5 for me. I don't really know why, to be honest. I feel like you kind of just know when it's a 5-star, and it just wasn't giving me 5 stars. I do wonder if that's because I paused it, because right before I paused it I was absolutely obsessed with it, and I still feel that way. But I think having that pause and then reading a lot over the weekend for the 24-hour readathon kind of maybe pushed this back for me, because when I went back into it I was just, number one, exhausted from doing that video, and I kind of felt like I was a bit slumpy from trying to force myself to read for the whole weekend. So I think that potentially has an effect. I feel like maybe it would have been a 4.5, but I feel like 4.25, which is so nitpicky, but like it's better than a 4. But other books I've rated 4.5 I preferred a little bit more. But yeah, I feel like probably just the pacing. I feel like things are still happening, and I was gripped and interested every single page I was reading, but it wasn't like this overwhelming sense of oh my god. So I don't know if, I feel like that's kind of just why it wasn't a 5 or a 4.5. If that makes any sense. I feel like that might not make any sense at all, but hopefully you kind of understand what I'm saying. But if you haven't read this, definitely read it. Put it on your October TBR, saying that this video is going to come out right at the end, so put it on your November TBR if you haven't read it. It's perfect for this time of year. It's such a good dark academia, and it's just so interesting. And it is, as again, it is very long chapters, but the page breaks really do help, and I feel like this will be one of my favourite books of the year because I did just have such a fun time reading it. And I'm also very proud of myself for reading it, because I was worried I wouldn't understand it at all, but I had a very, very good time. So all that being said, that is where I'm going to close off today's video. So thank you so much for watching. Please let me know if you've read any of these or if you plan to, and hopefully I will see you again in the next one.